A Book and a Bev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A Book and a Bev. We are your hosts, Ellie, Bryony and Georgia, and this week we're back with SJM, Move Over Justin Timberlake, because not only are we bringing sexy back to the continent, but we're bringing magic back with Queen of Shadows.
Wow.
Wow.
Love it.
Oh my goodness, he's a blast from the past. What's he doing these days?
Being problematic.
Yeah, cheating on his wife.
Good.
What's new with white men?
Ah, yes.
Add it to the list.
Well, this lovely gem was published in 2015 and is the fifth book in the Throne of Glass series. So we already have the backstory, and now Aelin is back in Rifthold for revenge. Things take a turn when her cousin Adian and our darling Dorian are on the chopping block. Can she avenge the ones she has loved and lost? And can she face down the king himself and win? And will she finally fuck Rowan? For goodness sake.
Please.
If she won't know, will.
Why I was doing interpretive dance that entire time, but you're welcome.
It's like Pictionary.
Two words. Fuck you.
No,
And
two
fuck
words.
me.
Fuck me. Exactly right. Rowan, are you listening?
Rowan.
Rowan.
We're waiting.
Anyways.
Okay, well, on that note, what are we drinking?
In honour of the Golden Nightgown, I'm drinking a Brown Brothers Gold Moscato, which alarmingly I'm already half a bottle into.
Well,
Anyway.
I have got some Chardonnay, aka a glass of Chardonnay, you pack of shunts.
You pack of shunts.
Beautiful.
If you're unfamiliar with the reference, please go acquaint yourselves with Kath and Kim.
Well, I have this. There is liquid in this.
Oh, good.
It has a hat. Basically, my drink tonight was just something that I wanted to make me scream, because that's what I've been doing the entire time whilst reading this book. It was just me screaming constantly. So I have these two things.
Oh no.
We have vodka and we have Red Bull, because what better way to make me scream than to actually literally give me a heart attack?
Fucking hell.
She's like, I will not accept anything less than cardiac arrest.
Literally.
Yes. All right. How did we think this book went, my loves?
Okay, my thoughts are... Look, I know I said that Heir of Fire was my favourite book, but this might also be my favourite book of the series. I don't know. There might just be every book is my favourite. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't pick. It's impossible. There are just so many incredible elements to the story, and again, like the tapestry is coming into focus and all the storylines are converging, and it's just absolutely amazing to watch it happen. We finally get justice for Sam Cortland, and then the plot is just like thickening up when we realise that the king is not actually the big bad. There's another big bad. All the stuff with the witches and Lysandra and Caltaine and Rowan. I will just like fun little tidbit. Like, you know when you dream and you're like, if this was going to be made into a movie, who would I want to play? And like for me, I think it's either Ghislaine of the 13, aka the Grumpy Bookworm, or Caltaine, Death Devourer Human.
Yeah, see, if I had to pick, it would be between Lysandra and Aelin. It would have to be. Because I love Aelin. I love her. She is like
You
my
body
soul sister.
Aelin for me.
She's my
Yeah.
soul sister. But I also love Lysandra, and the thought of turning into like a ghost leopard and just like fucking some men up, that would be sick.
Amazing.
Love Lysandra.
You see, I think I would be Lyria, because thus far in the book, she's the only one that has managed to fuck Rowan. So
She might be dead, but she went out doing what she loved.
she did.
Riding that pain.
Just woo!
I'm doing the rodeo. Woo!
There's the rock. It's all in the hips.
Oh, I thought you actually meant the person, The Rock, and I was like, he's not invited. He is not. This is a two-person.
Dwayne!
I love Dwayne.
Yeah, look, he seems like
I don't love him that much. Look,
Anyways.
Rowan Lorcan, potentially.
Oh, Lorcan.
What will Lorcan do? Let's find out.
Oh, God. Does that actually happen?
It's a really
no.
cute joke. But
I don't
you don't get it
get
yet.
it.
You will.
Oh, God.
I take your word for it. Well, I will just say this. Let's go rattle the stars. Are you fucking kidding me? This book can only be summed up as epic. I would follow Aelin to the depths of hell and back again. Hands down, my favourite character I have ever encountered. She is all of the things. She is arrogant, stubborn, brave, sassy, cunning, and I am now more in love with her than I am with Rowan.
She is just the fucking bomb.
She is.
There was just so much happening that I loved. The bromance, the gold nightgown, the ghost leopard, the shadow fire, Fleetfoot. I'm just obsessed with this series, and I am going to have the worst book hangover once we're done. I'm already anticipating it.
You will.
Yeah.
It'll be bad. No way around that.
It will be so bad. And you'll have to keep rereading it until you die, basically. That's the conclusion that we've come to. Well, this motherfucking book. Let me fucking tell you that nothing will stop me from embracing this series with all of its fucking trauma. Someone seriously needs to get me a bucket, because the amount of times that I use the word screaming, crying, vomiting, dying, shitting,
there's a lot of fluid coming out of you.
But it's how I feel. I have no other words to describe how I feel, rather than just those combination of words. I don't take it back. It's just what happens. And I blame Sarah for everything, so she can have the cleaning bill. I love everything about this book. I love Aelin. I love Rowan. I love Dorian. I love Manon.
Oh, God, it's getting higher. Every character. Wow.
Everything. It's perfect. It's fucking perfect. And it just sets up the entire rest of the series. Like, this one book is like the switch over. The first half of the series, it's like the king, the king, the king. And then you get to Assassin's Blade, and it's like the switch of like, oh, okay, now we're moving on to real trauma. Now we're getting fucked. Now, those 5 guys in the alleyway, it's one. And it's a giant fucking demon, and he's got like 8 dicks, and he's going to fuck you in every hole you've got.
Oh my God, that took a turn.
I've been reading Monster Romance. I'm so sorry.
So we've gone from the king fucking us up to then dealing with our trauma to then being fucked in an alleyway by a demon with 8 dicks.
That's how this series makes me feel. There's no aftercare.
Absolutely no aftercare.
You're shitting out that cum.
There is not a single moist towelette inside.
Not one wet towel.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologise.
Let's get balls deep in, shall we?
On that note, yes.
Part 1, Lady of Shadows. Let's go.
We're starting with Dorian.
Oh, no.
And our poor homeboy. He is not all gravy, baby. No, he is really not. He is barely holding on, and is currently possessed by a demon prince. Potentially one of the ones with the 8 peni. Yet to be determined.
One of the 8 penis. Actually, each one of his penises is like a sub. It's like a sub king. It's a sub prince. It's a sub king. It's a prince.
We do have a quote. Let's do that. There was a thing waiting in the darkness. It was ancient and cruel and paced in the shadows, leashing his mind. It was not of this world, and had been brought here to fill him with its primordial cold. Some invisible barrier still separated them, but the wall crumbled a little more every time the thing stalked along its length. Testing its strength. This isn't funny. It's none of what I just said is funny.
Georgia. Oh, no.
He could not remember his name.
The reason why I was laughing was because it says that he had been brought here to fill him with his primordial cold. And I was talking about the 8 dicks in the alleyway. And I was like, oh no, he's filling him with more than just his primordial cold. Sorry. I'm so sorry I ruined that.
It's all right. I'm sure Dorian accepts your apology. He is well traumatized from the pain invading his mind.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean, if he needs rescuing, I will happily get.
It's just dingle doodling in there.
Oh, dingle doodling.
Next chapter, Aelin has arrived back in Rifthold, only to realise that shit is absolutely not okay. There are like these new soldiers marching around the streets in like all black uniforms. I know in past books we've talked about the Selena-Aelin ratio transition thing. It's worth noting that she's now referring to herself as Aelin, but she is in Rifthold as Selena.
Just to clarify, Aelin.
Just to clarify.
Also Shalana. Also King's Champion. Also
Alentia.
Also Adeline's Assassin. Also
Fire-breathing bitch queen.
Witch Queen. Aelin of the Wildfire.
the Wildfire.
Aelin-
Fireheart. So Aelin is missing Rowan already, but obviously he has not made the trek to the continent because magic is non-existent on the continent. She does actually talk about how shit it is to lose her magic just when she has had it in her grasp. And we get this quote. So she had breathed in the brine and the wood and reminded herself that she had been trained to kill with her bare hands long before she'd ever learned to melt bones with her fire. She did not need the extra strength, speed, and agility of her Fae form to bring down her enemies. Oh, I love it.
I love it.
Our girl, she has been scheming on the voyage over and has a very, very, very big to-do list. So she needs to get cracking. She needs to chop, 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 let's go. There's no time to sleep. Sleep is for the weak.
Because sleep is for the weak.
First up on her hit list, guess who it is? It's old mate Daddy, Arabin. She ends up following one of his minions to the vaults and finds that he is meeting a client. But it's not just any client.
It's Stale Lettuce. He's back. So she hides from him and just like puts a pin in that confrontation for now because there's a lot to deal with. Because remember the last time we saw him, he told us, when I refer to us and we, it is us as a collective as Aelin because we are all her.
We are all Aelin.
Absolutely.
We're all her. Okay. So the last time we saw him, it was when he told us that he loved us. So
And we were like, thank you, but
thank
goodbye.
you. But I am setting sail on this ship to go fuck my Fae Prince.
Yeah.
Farewell.
Thank you very much for your consideration. I really appreciate what you've just said and how vulnerable you were. But unfortunately,
But no.
I really have to go. I have to go somewhere else. Sorry.
So that was the last time they saw each other. So, but no, let's get serious. I realised that this book is quite controversial for the Throne of Glass fandom purely because a lot of people were not happy with the romance of Aelin and Rowan. First of all, what the fuck is wrong with you? But there's a lot of like Kale, Selena, Dorian, Aelin shippers out there. And I get it, I do. I was Team Kale at the beginning, and even after Nehemia, I was still like open to a rekindling. But to me, her relationship with Kale was just never as much of a connection that she has with Rowan.
It's different. They understand each of each other's flaws. They each know everything about each other. They've like come through such like trauma and just fought every battle to get to where they are now, both of them. And they're like perfect, you know, soulmates to me. I feel like it's what they are.
They are soulmates.
You know?
Because they're mates.
Ellen.
But like, you know, sure, he may have punched her in the face or bit her, but if you compare where Kale and Selena, even at their happiest, to Rowan and Aelin, like as you just said, they're soulmates. You can't compare. A lot of people were like, no, Aerofire was purely platonic because they just kept referring to how they were just friends and like such a great friendship. And it's like, yeah, that's what they're telling themselves.
Yeah. I read dark romance. Punching in the face, biting, that's fucking normal.
It's a casual Tuesday.
It is a casual Tuesday. What Kale had,
also-
that was boring.
It's also domestic abuse.
It's
fine.
depend on where you look at it. If you close one eye and squint very far away, it's all right.
There's also a giant age gap and they may be cousins, but I am still obsessed with them, okay?
Well, then
Plus-
Reese and Feyre.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You can't be obsessed with Reese and Feyre and not with Rowan and Aelin,
That's
in
it.
my opinion.
That's it.
Kale was just never suited to her anyway. He just judged her actions even when he knew the motivations behind them, like when she killed Archer.
I don't even know who he liked because I think he wanted to like Selena, but he didn't want to like all the parts of Selena. And then when he found out that she was Aelin, he was like, well, this is now my excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sam loved Selena. Sam genuinely loved Selena. He didn't know everything about her. Kale loved Selena, but when he knew everything about her, he loved the idea of her. Didn't actually love her. Dorian liked the idea of her and then became friends with her. Rowan is built different.
He loves all of
He
her.
is. And as we do him. Kale was never going to be okay with her, ever. I mean, for crying out loud, he was literally picturing her as a housewife pregnant with his little lettuce babies. Like, we all know Aelin.
His little baby lettuce.
His little baby lettuces. That was never going to happen for them, ever. And SJM better not prove me wrong in that. If the last book ends with her pregnant and like losing her powers, I will rage.
Fair.
Fair. All right. When we finally meet Arabin Hamel, it's at this cavern club situation that we found ourselves in. This is the first time we actually see him in the present day. It's not in the prequel, not in a flashback. In the flesh, in this moment, we meet this motherfucker. Unfortunately, he's hot, which is very rude. But he is giving me like big groomer energy. I think we've spoken about that before. He is a groomer.
Yeah.
And Aelin knows that Arabin is like a slippery sucker and that he has likely constructed this entire encounter so that they could reunite on his terms. We have this moment where Kale, as he gets up from meeting with Arabin and leaves, like Selena hides so that they don't like meet, and then she goes and talks to Arabin, and Arabin says, "Things have been wretched since you left. As if she'd willingly gone to Endovia, as if he hadn't been responsible for it, as if she had just been away on a holiday, but she knew him too well. He was still feeling her out despite having lured her here." Arabin basically confirms that word spread about Aelin's brown hands in Wendelin, and he tells her about the King's Trap, aka Aedian's execution. Aelin gives him like somewhat of the tea on the whole Volg situation, minus the word keys, and Arabin essentially offers his services to her to free Aedian in exchange for a teensy little favour. He wants one of the Volg alive. So before she parts ways, Arabin has this really creepy moment where he like gets all close to her, and we get this quote which is, "Tell me what I must do to atone. Tell me to crawl over hot coals, to sleep on a bed of nails, to carve up my flesh. Say the word and it is done. But let me care for you as I once did before. Before that madness poisoned my heart. Punish me, torture me, wreck me, but let me help you. Do this small thing for me and let me lay the world at your feet."
Nah, fuck off.
I hate
Fuck you, you cunt.
hate that cunt. Everything
yeah.
about him. I just like want him to fucking die.
He's a snake.
Yeah, he is. All right. Well, Aedian is also not all gravy, baby. No, he's
not.
He got stabbed in the tussle when he was arrested. He's basically hidden it from all the guards and it's getting infected. He is literally trying to conceal it so he can die, so that Aelin won't go into the trap, because he knows that if she's alive and she's coming for him, and he's like, I don't want to risk her. I don't want to risk her life, so I need to die.
I will just fester and die.
Fester and die. How noble.
Oh, Aedian.
I love him. He's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
He is golden retriever energy.
He is.
Well, we're back with Aelin now, and she is on the run after leaving the vaults, being pursued by 20 men who she just lured there, because she's a clever cookie. They have now trashed one of Arabin's investments in that cesspit, but this cesspit is also a place that used Sam. So he used to, remember in Assassin's Blade where he was fighting in the pits and yada yada yada, that was at the vault. So it's all part of her vengeance quest, and I just love how cunning she is. She's 5 steps ahead at every turn, and I'm obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
We love an Aelin scheme.
Yep.
Oh my god. She doesn't need a man as a plan. She is the goddamn man plan.
He is the man plan.
She's the plan. Redacted
She's the man with the plan. Mm-hmm. She ends up escaping into the sewers, delightful, following a breadcrumb left for her by Arabin. She's not a fan of going back into the sewers since that whole, fantangle down there when she nearly drowned and Sam saved her. She was covered in feces for days.
This is one of the reasons why I think you should read the Assassin's Blade just before Queen of Shadows, because you get so angry at Arabin where the book ends and you've gone through all this stuff, and then when you're back in Rifthold and she's actually going into Rifthold, whereas like in Crown of Midnight, even as the assassin, she was trying to avoid Arabin, so there was part of the city she just wasn't even going into.
Yeah. No, I do like having the context behind him, because he does play such a vital role in this book.
Yeah.
And Lysandra as well.
Oh, Lysandra!
Was it Lysandra? Lysandra.
Look, we're Australian and we've already fucked up every other name. Doesn't matter at this point.
No, fuck
It does not. Anyway, she's in the sewers and there's just this woman floating around
Chilling.
in there.
And she's a gorgeous, beautiful woman, and she's beautiful.
She eventually lets Aelin follow her to get some answers, and she says that the scary guards do not answer to Captain Westfall.
Aelin at this point decides to switch it up and has the girl at knife point. But then this woman says that she is taking her to Kale, who is leading the rebels after abandoning his post as captain.
Suck it up.
Aelin is like, whoa, that's a twist of events. This woman obviously doesn't trust Aelin after she butchered all those rebels back in winter, but Aelin is like, they threatened my lettuce and I don't share my lunch, so what of it?
He eats a good salad when he needs to be. A
Yeah.
little bland, with the
But-
right seasoning.
Stale, Kale, the man himself, the whole salad just appears.
What's up, bitch?
Kale walks towards her and she's slightly nervous about this interaction because, again, remember the whole, like, I love you, thanks scenario.
But then also she's assuming he's figured out who she is, but they haven't talked about who she actually is, and it's all like...
True. It's a bit of a mind fuck. The first thing he asks her, because, of course, you know, it's Aelin, she's covered in blood, is, are you hurt? And it's like, well, okay, well, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah.
But no, darling, it's the blood of others.
Of course it is. Do you even know me?
It is. Anyway, no, we then learn that the woman, her name is Nesrin Falik.
Nesrin
So-
Bleak.
Hello, Nesrin.
You could nez up in my room.
Oh my god, what just happened?
I'm sorry, what, Georgia?
Sorry,
what?
my room.
Fuck. Nesrin does not deserve that from you. She is a beautiful woman.
That's why she could nez up in my room.
This up in your room. Oh my god.
It's fine, it's fine. Aelin and Kale then briefly catch up. The king is killing off magic people again. Not great. And Kale has sent Ren Allsbrook from 2 books ago to the east because he's like, I'll deal with you later. They chat about the Valg. Badge.
Australian Valg.
Badge.
Badge.
The badge.
Badge. And we learn that Aelin has nightmares of them feeding on her and reaches for the Fey warrior to remind her that they made it out, but he's not beside her because she left him in Wendelin, remember, with the bird and the caressing.
But we then go straight from that, and then we get this heartbreak, which is everything was an effort not to say she was sorry, not for what she had done to his face, but for the fact that her heart was healed, still fractured in spots, but healed, and he was not in it, not as he'd once been.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
She is.
I'm like, that is so beautiful. I love that for her. But Aelin wants to hear his story. They walk and talk towards her old apartment, and Kale basically tells her everything. Aelin is basically pissed that he was so reckless and didn't kill the king when he had the chance.
Mm.
You remember him just standing there like a plank of wood as Sorcer's head rolled and tumbled like Humpty Dumpty?
Nearly 3 books of him still trying to be loyal to the king despite trauma.
Being the captain of the guard and being, like, snuck up on and kidnapped multiple times.
Multiple
times.
Can't take him anywhere.
No, we can't.
Actually, you can. That's the problem. You can take him loads of
That
places.
is true. But yes, so she finds out that they have people on the inside of the castle, Kale's old men, trying to get Dorian and Adian out. She basically learns that Dorian is wearing a Wordstone collar, which we're all panicking. We get this quote, "You're pale," Kale said, but he made no move to touch her. Good. She wasn't entirely certain she could handle being touched without ripping his face off.
Oof.
Big oof.
Ugh. Yeah, jeez. Kale starts ripping into Aelin. The level of fury I had when reading this section. Oh,
I was reading it at work and I remember coming back from lunch, slapping the book down. I was like, oh my God, I'm so mad.
he's just such a dick. Anyway, so he's like, if you went out gallivanting around with your Fey warrior, excuse me, he is a bastard. She's like, fuck you. And he spills that he knows how to bring back magic. And Aelin is like, you forgot to mention that, you fucking cocksucking piece of shit cunt face.
What?
She, in fact, did not say all of that. She spills the beans on the Wordstone collars, and now it's his turn to be shocked by this news. They are not okay. Kale is like, magic is dangerous, Selena. And she's like, Selena can't answer the phone right now. Why? Because she's dead. My name is Aelin, bitch. Get it right.
Seriously.
Kale is like, we need to save Dorian, but he's sort of implying that he can't tell her how he can get rid of magic because it'd be too dangerous for her to know this information. And she's like, you're not saying that my magic is dangerous when we've got all of these little vaginal demons running around out there. Just get your head out of your asshole, Kale.
The 8 penises,
Jesus Christ.
they're all running around. They've got legs, they've got shoes, they've got socks, they've got hats.
I'm just picturing them in disguise. They've got like the glasses and the moustache.
But it's just a giant dick.
It's just a dick. Oh, gross. Anyway, essentially they then exchange gifts. She gives him back the ring. Remember the little amethyst ring he gave her moons ago? She's like, well, you can keep that piece of shit. And he gives her back the Eye of Elena, which is like, yes, that is actually mine. It's an heirloom. I would like that back. Thank you very much. He's quite sad. Nez of the Rim, finds him, and we find out that they fucked between his old heartbreak and Aelin in an alley. Now, this is where I kind of think that SJM was throwing the Kale fans a bit of a bone, because it's like she didn't want Lettuce Man to be left out alone. To be left outside alone.
No,
Earth's calling
out
out
here.
Oops.
Jesus.
It's like she didn't want our Lettuce Man to be left outside alone like Anastasia. So she's like, here, have a love interest. Nez of the Rim. But it's okay because I like her. So
Yeah.
She's a plot device. I'll take it.
I fucking love her.
She's also a very good fighter, believe it or not. Kale ends up telling Nez of the Rim everything. She's like, wowza. The Queen of Terrason just held a knife to my throat. Cool.
Yeah, I
Cool,
love
that's
how
great.
she's like, oh, fuck yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah. She also tells Kale about what happened at the vaults. And Kale is being a little fucking bitch for something different and is like, she does whatever she wants when she wants and she's probably just in a pissy mood. And it's like, actually, she was avenging the death of her beloved.
Fuck
she was
you,
doing
Kale.
something meaningful. What have you done?
What have you done,
What
Kale?
have you done?
What have you done?
Kale?
Do you know what he does go do, though? He goes and pawns off that ring.
I thought you were going to say he goes and does porn.
Which is what he just goes and beats off. He starts an OnlyFans. And he's like, all
I've
right.
got to make an income for this rebel movement.
The world needs to see my penis.
He's got a little hat on.
Here it is.
He's got a little coat. He's dressing him up.
Dresses up his penis in different characters.
Yeah.
The king.
He's like, this is my boyfriend, Dorian.
He somehow... Oh, no.
You imagine saying he somehow bends his dick in.
Oh, fuck.
He pawns off the ring. He does not go make porn. Right, good. Just to polish off my whole, Kale was the right guy for a season, but not the right guy for life. Okay, we have this quote. She could forgive the girl who needed a captain of the guard to offer her stability after a year in hell. Forgive the girl who had needed a captain to be her champion, but she was her own champion now. See, she is the man with the plan. She doesn't need the man anymore.
the captain now.
Absolutely. Aelin gets back to her apartment. She hasn't actually been there since Sam died.
Oh, God.
Everyone else has been. She hasn't.
She's just had like a cast of thousands there. She's like, wow, this is looking a little bit odd.
It's
Have
like
I been
Shrek.
robbed?
She walks in and she's like, what are you doing in my swamp?
It's just really sad because, like, this is her home with Sam.
And Arabin has literally put everything back the way it was that night. But she goes to have a bath and she looks at her tattoos on her back, and she just refuses to add another person to that list. Like, she's really dwelling on Kale saying that she's essentially a monster and all of that. And we get these quotes where it's, and yet for her friends, for her family, she would gladly be a monster. For Rowan, for Dorian, for Nehemia, she would debase, degrade, and ruin herself. The next day, Aelin writes to Arabin, accepting his offer, one Vogue Prince, for the safe rescue and return of her cousin Alien.
Ooh. Manon is meeting with Duke Huntington and Caltaine. It's been a while. They're still here. They're in Morath. Apparently Caltaine is not in a very good way. She's not all gravy baby. She's wearing a collar like a dog and she smells quite weird. So not a good time.
She's weird smelling. She smells like...
She's weird smelling.
She's got, like, the old people smell when they smell like piss.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't. She also has a giant scar on the inside of her forearm, which is not great. And the Duke wants Manon to go out scouting as a little Girl Scout to offer cookies to the locals on Abraxos.
With his socks.
Abraxos now does this thing where he just is like yeets himself off the cliff and starts falling before he starts flying again.
He thinks it's
He's
fun.
like, just for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
It's great fun. And we do have a quote for it. Abraxos sucked in a great breath, tucked his wings in tight, and fell off the side of the post. He liked to do that, just tumble off as though he'd been struck dead. Her Werven, it seemed, had a wicked sense of humour. He's just a person at this point, and I am obsessed with him.
I know, he's everything to me and more.
We start getting a little bit of tension with Astrid and Manon. Astrid's not enjoying the Duke's orders. She's starting to say, why are we taking orders from this strange old white man? This doesn't feel right. We're more powerful than him.
We all ask that question.
We're all asking that
All of
question.
it.
Next chapter. Aylin goes out for a snack, and when she returns, Arabin has left her a present. It's her old suit, which is like amazing, super cool, with extra modifications. So we kind of love that for her, but it's super creepy. He hasn't told her what the modifications are, so it's like a death trap for her to get it on and figure it out. So that's fine. So she puts it on and she's kind of like, I can play Selena Sardothian for a little while longer if needed in order to save Adian. I can do this.
Oh my goodness.
Love it.
When she leaves the house, someone is waiting outside in a carriage. And we're like, I wonder who this is. It's Lysandra. Remember Lysandra?
Hello.
Lysandra from...
Assassin's Blade with the fan.
Assassin's Blade, the fan.
Assassin's Blade.
Assassin's Blade.
She fucking whacked her in the head multiple times with the fan.
Aylin was not a big fan of her.
Oh no, Friday.
Sorry, not sorry.
Jesus. So Lysandra is basically begging Aylin not to kill her. She says that she's come to warn her. She's brought a child with her, which is great.
That's a problem.
Her name is Evangeline. She is 11 and she has 2 gigantic scars down her face. So Aylin basically brings them inside to chat. Lysandra says that she thinks that Erebin sent her as an offering, like a present for Aylin to kill. That's awesome.
Here, a gift. Murder.
Some people give you like lavender soap. Some people give you a body to kill.
Each
Some
to
will
their
give you
own.
a body and a child.
I will say, I first thought that Evangeline was Sam's child. Like, somehow Sam had fucked Lysandra and then that was their child. But then I was like, he would have had to be 9. Literally 9.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's only been a year.
Yeah. So she also says that Erebin sent her basically to let Aylin know how the rescue will go down for Adian. And Aylin's like, well, I ain't going to kill you. It's too much work. And with a child present, I can't do that.
The child.
I do have some limits.
So Lysandra gives Aylin a letter from Wesley. You remember Wesley? The one who she knocked out as he was trying to warn her?
Yeah, she was like,
that?
thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, apparently he and Lysandra were in love. And Wesley wrote down everything that Erebin did to Aylin. Like every single thing he planned to do with Sam, everything. And he apparently was going to try to get her out of Endovia. And Aylin's like, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
It's a twist of events for sure.
And just when we think, like, you know, that's it, that's all the plot twists we can take, Evangeline is like, Lysandra actually gave me these scars. And Aylin's like, whoa.
I might just kill her then.
We find out that the reason why Lysandra gave Evangeline those scars was so that she wouldn't have to be a courtesan.
Tiny whore.
Tiny
whore. Yikes. And Clarice made Lysandra buy Evangeline as if she were basically like a full tiny whore, which is why Lysandra is still working for Clarice, because obviously when Aylin was leaving, she was like, Lysandra was pretty much ready to pay off her debts.
She was rolling in dough.
Yeah.
She was.
And in dick.
Oh,
that
gosh.
Arabin dick. She was getting it.
Oh.
Oh, yuck.
He would have had ginger pubes. Just let that sink in.
Ew.
Why did you have to bring up the
Ellie.
cubage?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Aelin is basically like, oh, well, that's actually pretty fucking neat. And Nehemia would have done the same thing. So she stops them from running away. She's like, stop, wait.
Stop right now.
Very much. At this stage, we jump back into Adian's point of view, and he's really struggling with his infection when, to our shock and horror, Dorian comes to visit him. And Adian consents that Dorian is not the captain of the ship anymore, but he is still in there. He's like telling her about Sorsha, and Dorian is like, I don't know what you're talking about, but really it's like, you can see there's something going on there. The Vogue that's overtaken Dorian tells the guards that Adian has an infection, and Adian is basically held down and forced to be healed, much to his disgust.
Well, we then switch point of views to Dorian inside his own head with the Valg demon. So, hello, there's two of us here now. Dorian has been screaming, mute, inside his own head. Now, just picture that. You're screaming and no noise is coming out.
I
Nightmare.
had that happen on the Tower of Terror ride at Dreamworld. Because
Why?
you go so fast that I screamed and nothing came out, so then I screamed more, but then I went back through the screen.
Oh, you caught up with this screen.
Caught
I
up
get
with
it.
that screen.
Lovely. Well, no, he's not catching up with the scream. The scream is all the things she said,
Still
all the things she
that
said,
way.
running through my head, all the things she said.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I don't know why my brain is just going through music references tonight.
I know.
I do
Very
apologise.
musical.
Dorian has been screaming silently within his brain. Not a great time. He has been beaten in his head by the demon. He's
With that giant demon.
With that
fucking
giant
dick.
dick. Imagine that. Like, no.
Imagine
that's
getting,
not
yeah, imagine getting beaten by a giant dick.
In your head.
in your head. Not a
The whole
pleasant
situation
time.
is just a
Yeah.
time.
Poor Dorian. The whole situation was very rough.
Neckmin, Kale is meeting with the weapons master Brulu and our dear friend Ress. And they're having like this super secret meeting when Aelin just pops up like a bad rash and is like, yo, what's up? And they're like, how does she keep doing this? And she's like, haha. And Ress and Aelin are like still friends and it's so cute. But Brulu is like, wait a goddamn minute. I think I am picking up on some vibes. Can I just like have a quick squeeze at your eyes? And what do you know? I figured it out. Aelin basically was there to warn them that they will be rescuing Adian and that they should wear a red flower on their uniform if they want to be spared. At this meeting as well, Aelin and Nesrin have this exchange that's like kind of friendly and we love to see it. And then we get this quote from Kale's point of view where it wasn't until she'd vanished into the crowd with a jaunty swagger that Kale realised thanks were indeed in order. Aelin Galathinius was about to turn the glass palace into a killing field, and Ress, Brulu, and his men had all been spared. She still hadn't said anything about Dorian, about whether he would be spared or saved.
Yikes, that's big yikes. So Aelin wakes up in the middle of the night. Oh my God, in the middle of the night.
In the middle. Oh my goodness.
It's beautiful. So she reaches for Rowan, but he's not there. She misses him, but she won't have him be a crutch for her. A crutch is in her crotch of her pants.
Her crotch is on fire. Her sex is on fire.
Ooh, whole different world.
Fucking hell. What is going on? This has turned into a musical episode.
It's our musical episode. You know, like most sitcoms have one episode a season where it's just a random musical.
It's a random musical. That's what this is.
This is it.
Fuck it up.
And yet the majority of the actors and actresses can sing. And in fact, we cannot.
None of us can sing.
No.
So she refuses to have Rowan be like
In her
the weak
crotch.
spot. Yeah, in her crotch, which is really sad. But she acknowledges, nonetheless, that she still misses him. Nonetheless. How many times can I say it in a sentence? Nonetheless.
Okay, again.
Nonetheless.
Say it one more time. Nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
The next chapter, Manon meets with the Duke, and they want to mate a Valg Dick and a witch.
Crotch.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So when they leave the meeting, Astrid is like, you cannot fucking do that. And we learn that apparently witchlings are really sacred and that like the Valg obviously want to make these fucking babies, which are like these fucking crazy ass demons. And Astrid basically begs Manon not to do it. And Manon's like, we don't have a fucking soul. We're heartless. Like, what are you fucking doing begging me, you crazy, stupid bitch? So Manon's like, you know what? I demote you. You're now third instead of second. So,
Yeah.
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, drop to third.
What? Oh my god.
Elvis.
Asterin begging about sacred witchlings is just really, really
Oh
painful.
yeah, that's traumatic.
Yep, it's fine. Keep going.
Jesus. Okay. When Manon gets to her rooms, there's a servant there, and her name is Elide. Is it Locken? Lochen.
Locking.
Like
Locken.
crocking, popping and locking.
Drop it, polka dot.
Oh my god,
dear
how
God.
many songs?
Her name is Elide Locken. She is the Duke's second in command's niece. So she's like a friend of a friend of a friend, essentially.
Yeah.
She has a mangled ankle. One could say her ankle is quite fucked. It's not quite looking right. It, in fact, is a... Oh, what's that triangle?
Obtuse?
Obtuse?
It's a bit obtuse.
No, polygamy is not what I mean.
No. It's not
Pythagoras.
Pythagoras. It's
Pythagoras
not
is what I meant.
Oh, really? What's
Pythagoras.
Pythagoras?
Her ankle is, in fact, on a Pythagoras angle.
It sounds
I don't-
like a dinosaur.
Anyway, her ankle is fucked up and she's just limping around the place. Her chains are dragging on the floor. It's just a whole time. And Manon is like, you're a spy. For no other reason than you've got a fucked up ankle. You're a fucking spy.
Can't be trusted.
And Elide promises she isn't, but she's like trying to fake that she's being scared. And it's like, this bitch has iron fucking teeth and nails. Why aren't you actually scared? I would
Because
just
she
be
already
shitting
knows
myself.
dark trauma.
Oh, she does know dark trauma. But have you seen the dark trauma of an iron teeth witch's toenails? I'm not sure if you
Why
have.
did you bring the toenails into this?
Because-
Because the yellow legs.
Toenails freak me the fuck out. Like, I could handle a fingernail of iron, but a
Stop.
toenail of iron?
Stop.
No.
Back it
Exactly
up.
right.
Redacted.
Exactly right. So we've cut her chin. We just had a little sucky suck of that blood because we're just like, let me just finagle my taste buds and see what we come up with. Turns out the blood is witch. And because we're here for the journey with, Elide being Marion's daughter, yay, she's alive. Manon takes Sorrel, who is her now new second in command because she yeeted Asterin down the chain, to see their new weapons. Sorrel says something ominous about how Asterin knows better than most about what her grandmother is capable of. And Manon's like, yeah, cool, interesting, moving on.
Neckmin, we're in a different chapter, and Aelin is summoned to the Assassin's Keep to meet with Arabin. She is wearing her assassin's suit, and we get this horror moment, which is, he says, it was a present. Selena says, stick with jewelry and clothes, or useful things. His eyes followed hers and lingered. You fill it out better than you did at 17. And that was quite enough. Arabin is like, babes, just checking in. Want to see if, you keep your promises, because you, didn't kill Lysandra when I sent her to you to be murdered. So what's up? And she's like, you know what? I'm not a petty little bitch. She is, but not in that way.
She is indeed petty.
Arabin asks Aelin if she'll go to save Adian as Selena or as the fire-breathing bitch queen, and she says as Selena. We also find out at this stage that Kale is being a secretive little fuck again, and absolutely no one is surprised.
No one is surprised by his movements because he had a secret OnlyFans. Anyway, Aelin then meets Lysandra at her apartment again, and Lysandra's like, the girl you knew died a long, long time ago. And Aelin's like, same bro, I've got a new name now. Keep up. Lysandra says that Aelin loved Sam the way that she loved Wesley, which just... Oh, Lysandra says that she has been waiting to kill Arabin while he sleeps, but she knows that it wasn't just her kill. And they decide at that moment to let bygones be bygones, and they become the best friends that ever existed. And I just, I'm obsessed.
And remember at this stage, she's had Ansel, and that didn't go well. And then she's had Nehemia, and that didn't go well.
No.
And now she has Lysandra.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. We love female friendship. We have a quote. I'm sorry, Aelin said, for the years I spent being a monster toward you, for whatever part I played in your suffering. I wish I'd been able to see myself better. I wish I'd seen everything better. I'm sorry. Lysandra blinked. We were both young and stupid and should have seen each other as allies, but there's nothing to prevent us from seeing each other that way now. Lysandra gave her a grin that was more wolfish than refined. If you're in, I'm in. That fast, that easily, the offer of friendship was tossed her way. Rowan might have been her dearest friend, her Karen, but she missed female companionship deeply. And oh my God, I think I speak to all of us women here that girlfriends make the world go round.
Girlfriends make the world go round. And this their friendship is just one of my favourite parts of the entire series.
It's beautiful. I'm obsessed.
Love them.
So then they end up talking about eating chocolates until they vomit, which is relatable. And Aelin is like, wow, we are such ladies. And then we get this from Lysandra. Oh, please, you and I are nothing but wild beasts wearing human skins. Don't even try to deny it. Yes, if only we knew. If only we knew how yes that was. Yeah. Quite correct. But Lysandra has a plan. And we love a woman with a plan.
Yeah.
Here we are.
She's the captain.
So we jump to the next chapter. Kale, Aelin, and Nesrin are saving rebels from the butchering block. Kale and Aelin are bickering. Kale is like, if you hurt Dorian, I'll make sure the guards kill Adian. And we get this quote. You bring my court into this, Kale, Aelin said with lethal softness. And I don't care what you were to me or what you have done to help me. You betray them, you hurt them, and I don't care how long it takes, how far you go. I'll burn you and your God's damned kingdom to ash, and then you'll learn just how much of a monster I can be.
Fuck it up, sis. Absolutely.
I am turned on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Kale is like, oh no, maybe I've gone too far.
You fucking think.
Ness of the Rim is like, whoa guys, we aren't enemies. Aelin is worried that the king will try to lock her in the clock tower when she tries to save Adian. And so Kale tells her that he actually grabbed the Book of the Walking Dead or whatever the fuck wordmark book it was from the castle before he fled. They end up stopping the rebels from being executed, all but one. Aelin then goes and kills a bunch of royal guards and their blood is all black. Then she decides to prep for the next day where she will save her cousin. In Adian's point of view, Adian is ready to die of his own choosing, but he's decided he's going to try and prompt his death because he's not going down without a fight. He's still trying to figure out a way so that Aelin isn't trapped.
Bless him. Look at him, just putting everyone else above himself. Obsessed. Well, we're back with Dorian, and yeah, he's still not doing well, guys. He's still hanging in there, but barely. So Aelin is at the castle entrance as a dancer for someone on Arabin's payroll. She's been one of the best dancers of all time, and now one of the best instructors. They are dancing in the castle for the celebration of killing a traitor, which sounds like that's probably not great.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a vibe, but okay.
Aelin then notices that there are word marks at the entrance, and she then is elbowed by another dancer and cries out, and they get her some water, and she's like acting like, oh my god, she's so distressed because she's so nervous, and this other dancer pushed her and she's so in so much pain she cannot possibly go on, and she ends up tripping over, and the water she has spills all over the word marks as she enters the castle. So therefore, she can stroll on in. Off she trots.
Phenomenal. Roll of a lifetime. Nailed it.
Nailed it. She's walking on sunshine.
Literal.
Oh my god, she's walking on sunshine.
So many songs this episode.
I'm just that's just my aim now for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Random song references.
All right. It's time. They're getting ready to get down to business to defeat the Huns or perform, and they are handed these black flowers that we assume are filled with like a special something. There's a vibe. And Florine.
It's the jizz of the 8 penises. It's the jizz.
It's the jizz.
It is
their
in fact
former
the jizz.
lovers.
Florine, the dance coach lady, says to Aelin, when you shatter the chains of this world and forge the next, remember that art is as vital as food to a kingdom. Without it, a kingdom is nothing and will be forgotten by time. I have amassed enough money in my miserable life to not need any more. So you will understand me clearly when I say that wherever you set your throne, no matter how long it takes, I will come to you and I will bring music and dancing.
I love that.
Fuck it up, Florine. Get it.
Literally. We then get into Adian's POV. And he's like watching the dancers as he's getting ready to die, you know. He's like, oh, this is great music to get my fucking life destroyed too. He's watching one of the dancers, and it's like a dancer who is slightly curvier, slightly taller, broader shoulders, and he watches her slip behind a curtain. And when she comes back out, she's dressed as someone with a hood, basically. And she makes it all the way, like, in front of the little stage area, because he is the main attraction of the show, Adian. He is on the stage, ready for his time to shine. And she's standing in front of the guards that are, like, protecting him, you know? They're protecting so that nothing goes wrong. And then, all of a sudden, the dancers shatter the glass roses on the floor. And the woman in front of the guards looks at him from beneath her hood, and we get this quote. Behind them, across the hall, the dancers shattered their roses on the floor, and Aiden grinned at his queen as the entire world went to hell.
Glorious. Everything turns to fucking chaos, and we're all screaming. Aelin kills some guards, and Aiden also kills some by using, like, the chair he's sitting on to, like, fucking stab them. So that's cool. And then Aelin uses word marks to unlock his chains. They're running, and she manages to panic the crowd by screaming fire and uses that to make their escape. They get outside, and they're so close to the gates, but then Dorian appears. And that is a problem, in fact.
Aelin is begging Dorian to show her a sign that he's in there. And he doesn't. He's like, sus bitch. It's me, Prince Demon.
Demon Dick.
My name is Richard. Hello. So it turns out Nez of the Rim is there, and she ends up knocking the sword of Orinth from Aelin's hands with an arrow, and says if she kills Dorian, then she will kill Adian. And that's not a great deal. Aelin is like, well, for fuck's sake. So as Aelin goes to leave the Valg inside Dorian, it ends up speaking to her and says, you're going to regret this. And Aelin's like, yeah, I fucking know, Richard. They escape and they make it to a building, and Lysandra's been waiting. They get changed, except for Aiden, because his stitches are like popping out of his rib cage, because remember he got stabbed and they healed him and now he's stitched, and yeah. Not a great time to escape with, no. They end up getting into this carriage, and they just like literally stuff him into this tiny compartment made for tiny whores. And he just like slots right on in. This giant fuck off man. He's like, yes,
I don't think it's very comfortable. I think it's a bit more like...
Yeah, pretty much. They end up getting stopped, but they pretend that they're just, you know, two honourable ladies on their way to an appointment. And they end up making it to the warehouse and Aelin's apartment. And then Kale is there. And Kale is pissed as hell because she almost killed Dorian, his lover. But she's like, Kale, you need to sort your shit out, because that is not Dorian anymore. That is Richard. Dorian is gone.
That is, in fact, Richard. Dorian is dead. Dorian can come to the phone right now. Why? He's dead.
He's dead. And Richard is now
there. You said he
there.
can't come to the throne.
Oh. So then Lysandra finds out that Aelin is the heir of Terrasen, and she's like, oh yeah, you and Aiden do look alike. He's also hot as fuck. I might just bed him.
Jump to the next chapter. A lead was given a letter to go to Manon. She goes to find her in the Eyrie, and Manon is like, stop acting like a little fucking bitch. I see who you are, Alid. And Alid tells Manon like where her family is from, because Manon's like, I need to find out more information about this witch lineage that's hiding deep within Alid's bones. And in this moment as well, Alid ends up meeting Abraxos, and we love that, Abraxos and his socks. And he sees her chain and her bad ankle, and he is like, I see you, soul sister. We're friends now.
Hey sister, go sister.
I'm thinking like, hey soul sister by train, and you're like, baby bubbly.
So Manon opens the letter when her and Abraxos are out hunting. And it's from her grandmother. She tells her that the other heirs are all coming to visit. So it's going to be a big party, a big reunion. Manon basically can't stop thinking about the fact that they were made to be evil, because that's what the Kraken had said to her as she was, you know, like killing her. Made into monsters, not born that way.
They were, in fact, not born that way.
Baby, we weren't
Lady Gaga.
Baby, we weren't born this way.
You're
So
welcome.
Manon ends up going to visit the oldest Iron Teeth witch in her clan, like in the 13. What's her name again?
My homegirl, Ghislaine.
That is
It's-
how you spell Ghislaine. That looks more like gasoline.
It's it used to be like Ghislaine, but I think it's Ghislaine.
Look, I'm
No,
just gonna call
it's
her
like-
G.
Ghislaine
Yeah, G.
Maxwell.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh God.
You watched my face go, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, she's going to see G, one of the 13, and she was sent to a mortal school, we find out, when she was really young, so she knows a lot. And Manon asks about the Valg, the vaginas. She is told that the Vages and Fae actually bred to make the witches, and the Kraken took on most of the Fae line, and the Iron Teeth took on more of like the vagina bloodline. So Manon tells her about the fact that she has been told to produce an Iron Teeth clan to provide to the Duke for testing, for breeding. And the other witch is like shook by this and is basically like terrifying Manon because she's never seen G like so freak the fuck out.
Ghislaine's like a grumpy, reclusive introvert. And
Yeah.
I love her.
And she's like, oh shit, this is hectic. Okay. But lucky for Manon, at the next day at lunch, she's approached by a bunch of Yellowlegs witches, and they asked to be the chosen coven for breeding.
They asked to be choked.
They're like, choke me out, sweet.
They asked to be choked and spanked like the naughty girls they are.
Choke me like you hate me, but you love me.
You love me,
Low-key
low-key, wanna date me when you fuck me. So, yeah, that helps Manon because she's been really struggling to come up with a group of, witches to
people
provide to
to
the Duke.
offer for breeding.
Yeah.
Who wants to be fucked by demons? Raise your hand.
Raise your hands, everyone. Who wants to be fucked
And
by
at this
demons?
stage as well, it's not like penetrative vaginal sex fucking. It's like a bit of stone sewn into your belly.
The Duke ends up accepting this, and he says that they're going to do this because they can, and they will then rule the world. Big, giant yikes.
Yeah.
And then from the next chapter, we end up jumping into Dorian's POV, and it's just a quick chapter about pure trauma, and he basically hates Aelin for not killing him, which is really sad because it's actually Kale's fault. So he can blame Kale
Yeah,
for that. He
blame
can blame his
Kale.
boyfriend.
Exactly right. So, Kale is pissed and he's essentially throwing himself another sooky tantrum and goes out looking for the Valg in the sewer because yay. And, he doesn't find any because he's shit. And they're all gone. So he ends up going to Ness of the Rim's father's bakery because he makes some sweet pie. So he's like, this will make me feel better. And he ends up telling her that he can't believe that Dorian is gone. I'm just like, Kale, can you not? Your frustration and your broodiness is ruining the reunion between these beautiful cousins. Just take it somewhere else, please.
Yeah, fuck you, Cal. So let's leave her behind. And Aiden wakes up and sees that Aelin is asleep on the chair next to his bed. And they have this gorgeous moment where they say hello for the first time in all these years. And like we're scream crying. Aiden is just like silently sobbing through the entire ordeal. And we get this quote, which is, he laughed again and realised that though he'd loved her before, he'd merely loved the memory, the princess taken away from him. But the woman, the queen, the last shred of family he had. It was worth it, he said, his smile fading. You were worth it. All these years, all the waiting, you're worth it. He'd known the moment she had looked up at him as she stood before his execution block, defiant and wicked and wild.
Oh, I love them.
So beautiful. They're just like the good type of cousins that don't fuck.
Double thumbs up.
So he ends up thinking to himself that this was Aelin. He would have known her even if he were blind. Which is like, do you remember when she said she would...
Remember? Anyway.
Oh, dear God. Do you remember when he said that she would recognise Kale blind, but now she has someone that can do her for her, and it's her cousin, and it's not weird because they're not fucking. She's just fucking the other one. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with them. So he ends up noticing that her scent has a fey male intertwined with it.
Isn't that strange?
That's so
That's very
fucking
strange.
interesting.
It's so interesting. It's Rowan because they're mates. I will die on this hill. I will.
Of course
I
you
will.
will.
So they tell each other, what the fuck's been happening all this time. And afterwards they're crying and we get this. I missed you, she whispered onto him, breathing in his scent, the male warrior's scent that she was just remembering. Every day I missed you. Her skin grew damp beneath his face. Never again, he promised.
Oh my God.
Oh. We get this other quote, which is, they'd been forged of the same ore, two sides of the same golden scarred coin. She'd known it when she'd spied him atop the execution platform. She couldn't explain it. No one could understand that instant bond, that soul-deep assurance and rightness, unless they too had experienced it. But she owed no explanations to anyone, not about Adian. And, like, I love the mirroring between them, like, they're the same coin. Oh, it's fine. And, like, they're both having the same reactions to each other, like, they'd known it from the moment they saw each other. They had that same, it's just killing me. Arabin Nekmin summons her to the pits, aka the vaults. And Arabin is like, well, you fucked up the last place I had, like, business interest in, so you need to fight to prove yourself here so that they'll agree to work with me. And she's like, sure, bro, whatever. And when she gets into the pit, because we should clarify, at this stage of the book, she's dyed her hair red. It's short and it's red because she's in disguise. But when she steps into the fighting pit with red hair, she uses the name Ansel of Briarcliff.
Oh my God.
As I Ansel! So Ansel is fighting Ardalan soldiers in a pit in Rifthold, and she's fighting the Volk. She puts on a show, and we get this quote. Kale is watching her, and he's like, fuck my life, actually. The quote is, she moved like a midnight storm. Whatever training she'd had in Wendelin, whatever that prince had taught her, gods helped them all. Punch after punch, block, lunge, duck, spin. The crowd was a writhing thing, foaming at the mouth at the swiftness, the skill. Cal had seen her kill. It had been a while since he'd seen her fight for the enjoyment of it, and she was enjoying the hell out of this. Next quote we get is, it hadn't even been a fair fight. Aelin had let it go on because Arabin had wanted it to go on, and once she took out that clock tower and her magic was back, what checks would there be against her, against Adian and that Fey Prince of hers and all the warriors like them? A new world, yes, but a world in which the ordinary human voice would be nothing more than a whisper.
God, it's like he's got little man syndrome.
Literally.
Seriously,
He can't, like, be just happy for, he's like, I've got these friends that are wanting to do the right thing, that are wanting to do good things, that are wanting to save the world, but I'm sitting here like, well, I want to say, and she's not going to let me have that because I am just a wee little boy.
She's not going to do that, what I want, the way I want it done, because I've fucked up literally everything else I've tried to do, so I don't have
and
a
I
good
keep
track
getting
record.
kidnapped.
Let me try again.
Oh my God. And also, I'm sorry that I killed your friend or led her to her death and didn't tell you.
Yeah,
My
you
bad.
know,
Literally.
Aelin goes to end the fight and this Valg soldier bites her. He then makes some weird fucking comments and Aelin kills him before she can say anything and, like, beheads him. And Arabin is like, well, you had better deliver on your promise soon because I thought that was going to be, like, my ticket. And she's like, chill out, mate, I'll do it. Arabin then asks her if she's curious about where they buried Sam, which is a super low blow that we're not here for. Arabin tells Aelin that he buried Sam in a graveyard, not the keep, in a random place. And as she leaves, she knows that she's being tracked by the rest of the Vold commanders from the pits.
So,
Oh my God.
we're back with the lead now. And she's washing dishes when Astrid comes into the kitchen. She basically, to summarize, tells Alid that she has witch blood. She's like, hey, surprise, mummy was a witch. And Alid's like, wait, no, what? Sorry, I belong to Terrason, land of Staug. I must not be a witch.
The Staug.
Is that his name?
Stag.
It's a stag.
Is it stag?
It's a Staug. It's a silent
Staug.
L.
I literally have just added an L.
You're like, no, it's like the vag, except because it's the L is silent.
But the L is
Vag
silent.
fucked a stag.
Oh
It's
my
a
God.
Staug.
It's a Staug.
Yikes.
Right, here we are. No, she cannot be a witch. She's shook. So, Alid leaves the kitchen and goes to Manon's room and is stealing coins when Astrid finds her. Which is like, dumb fucking move. What did you think was going to happen? Breaking into a
you're
witch's room?
Stealing from the fucking leader of the 13. Like, what
Like
are
the
you doing?
leader of all of the witches at this point.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Right. Well, she obviously gets caught by Astrid and Astron's like, welcome. Join our gang. Join our gaggle of witches. Manon walks in and she's like, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah. No, Manon is not happy. She ends up like taking a lead back to her rooms, and Vernon the Vermin is standing out the front, and he's like, weird you guys are like besties. Hey, that's a bit odd. So we get this quote, which is Manon says, I'm not in the habit of forcing my servants. Vernon is like, only slaughtering men like pigs, right? And she goes, their deaths equate to their behavior in life.
Oh, I love that.
True. Fuck those men up. They deserve to die. Fuck them all.
They do.
Anyway, so Alide forgets that today is the day that her father was executed by her uncle, which is like a really weird day to forget, but that's cool. Trauma. We all cope in different ways. It's fine.
She's busy washing dishes.
She is. She's got better things to worry about.
Got
So's dad.
a lot on her plate. So's daddy.
So's dad. So Manon tells Vernon to get the fuck lost, like fuck the fuck off. So he does. And
fuck the fuck off.
Yeah. And Manon then gives Alide an offer. She's like, does her blood run blue or red?
Ooh.
Is she embracing her witch heritage, or is she a mere mortal? And she ends up saying that her blood runs blue. And she is welcomed to the Black Beak clan.
Oh my God, that easily.
Out of the choices, you'd go, yeah, please, Manon, please stand between me and death.
Yeah.
Because I think I've got a good shot then.
Yeah. No, I get that. But I'm sort of like the witches. They're like, make your choice. And if you say us, we will include you within our clan. Even though we've had to spend the past 100 years being literally brutalized by our coven leader. But welcome. Hello.
Good luck to you, dear mere mortal.
Anyway. Aelin and Adian are just walking, having a time, just having a chat. And Adian tells Aelin that Rowan is one of the greatest warriors of all time, which we already knew that, and says that her father and his men used to tell stories about Rowan and his cadre. I'd like to hear these stories.
Literally. Same.
Kale then appears, and he's pissed because the king burnt the shadow markets to ash, which... not a good time.
Problem.
And all the people that were inside of them. So, now there's all these
really
little...
has like no. He's just like, fuck it. He's like, I don't.
He's got no filter. He's like, this is a bad thought. Do it.
He's like, I do not give a flying fuck.
I mean, there's this colonizer that's just been enslaving populations of predominantly people of colour and killing people left, right, and centre. But it's definitely Aelin's fault.
It is.
Well, this is what I mean. He gets so mad about everything that Aelin does, but then he's just like, oh, damn, the king did that again. Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like if he looks at the king and actually articulates his anger, he'll have too much personal reckoning to deal with, like his own role in things, and he doesn't want to do that, so he's going to put it on whoever else he can, and that's Aelin.
Yep.
Such a fucking
bitch.
gaslighter.
Little bitch.
He's a little bitch. Anyway, Adian is like, you don't get to fling that shit at us when your king killed our families and people. It's not her fault. It's not her fault, you fucking freak.
It's not. You fucking
Absolutely
cunt.
not.
Adian then tells Kale that Dorian came to visit him when he was in the dungeon and there was no sign of the man he once knew because it was Richard. And
yeah, Richard's dick.
He carries himself in a different way.
Yep.
So Aelin then ends up following some of the guards into the sewer and stumbles upon a creature.
Yeah, and Aelin is like, what the fuck is this thing? It looks like one of the gargoyles on the top of the clock tower, but when she hears it speak about trying to locate Adian, she realizes that it's the king's voice. So that's awesome. When she returns, Adian is super stressed. She's like, dude, I'm cool. Don't worry about it. And he's like, he basically says that he feels like every scar she has is his fault because he wasn't there to protect her. And she ends up telling him about how she really actually ended up deserving a lot of her scars because she was a little bitch. And they basically like have this moment where they like talk about all their scars and
I did this,
yeah, like I fucked up, I did this, and that's why I deserved this, you know. So
yeah,
It's really beautiful. But they end up going out the next night to a bar with Ness in Yurim. And when they leave, we get literally one of the best pages in the entire book. Just hold on to your fucking bonnets, people. Basically,
oh my God.
Alien sent something. A female scent mixed with alien scent. And I'm reading you the entire fucking page, so fuck you.
Absolutely.
So, hold on to your bonnets.
I love that you're dressed up as Eminem now.
Wrap this for us, please.
Adian's palms are sweaty. Knees weak.
Arms are heavy. There's promenade sweater already. Mom spaghetti. He's nervous. Anyway, I'm actually Rowan. Okay, so we get this. The male emerged from the fog, tall, maybe taller than Adian himself, if only by an inch, powerfully built and heavily armed both above and beneath his pale grey surcoat and hood.
Beneath.
Aylin took a step forward, one step, as if in a daze. She loosed a shuddering breath, and a small whimpering noise came out of her, a sob. And then she was sprinting down the alley, flying as though the winds themselves pushed at her heels. She flung herself on the male, crashing into him hard enough that anyone else might have gone rocking back into the stone wall. But the male grabbed her to him, his massive arms wrapping around her tightly and lifting her up. Nesrin made to approach, but Adian stopped her with a hand on her arm. Aylin was laughing as she cried, and the male was just holding her, his hooded head buried in her neck as if he were breathing her in. Who is that? Nesrin asked. Adian smiled. Rowan. Roll him up and stick him out your vagina and...
Oh, fucking word.
Oh my God.
Unhinged.
When I read that scene, fuck me.
Oh,
I was screaming, crying, shitting, fucking pissing, everything.
yeah.
Vomiting all at once. So this reunion scene just melted my cold, dark heart, and I just adore them. Aylin is obviously like, what are you doing here, sir? And he's like, this needs to be discussed somewhere secure. And he also just kind of smells like shit because he's been traveling in a boat for 3 weeks. So they end up going back to the apartment, and Nez of the Rim has left them now. She's like, see ya, I'm going to go have a pie from my dad. Bye. And she ends up introducing Rowan to Adian. And it's the first time she's like, wow, I wonder who would win out of the fight. Because everyone else Rowan would literally shit on. He would fight them so well, he could pull his pants down and take a literal dump on them.
And I'd say thank you.
So, but with Adian, she's like, not too sure if that would actually happen.
Yeah. When they get Rowan into the warehouse, she takes him to her room so that he can bathe. And we have this moment where the quote is, Aylin leaned against the door as Rowan paused in the centre of the bedroom, his face darkened by the shadow of his heavy grey hood. The space between them went taut, every inch of it crackling. She bit her bottom lip as she took him in, the familiar clothes, the assortment of wicked weapons, the immortal, preternatural stillness. His presence alone stole the air from the room, from her lungs. Take off your hood, he said with a soft growl, his eyes fixed on her mouth. She crossed her arms. You show me yours and I'll show you mine, Prince.
Oh my God.
Fucking the audacity of Sarah to put this shit in writing. Phenomenal.
The soft growl. Growling kills me.
And like his eyes are on her mouth. Unhinged.
Yeah. His eyes are on my mouth, my pants are on the floor. Here we are.
And we're all shitting together.
We're all just collectively shitting in this moment. So Rowan then takes off his hood and his hair is short. He's had a haircut and we're dying.
It's amazing. Waiting for short hair, Rowan.
She then asks him if when he transforms into his hawk form, if he's been plucked. I love that so much because she still can give him shit. I just love that. The banter.
I love it.
Amazing. He then gets into the bath while she goes to change and she's like, don't you fucking dare turn around, you little bitch. Stay in there. Turn around and let me see your penis. She comes back and hands him her favourite lavender soap. We all understand the significance of this. This is not okay.
Pain.
Pain.
We got a full basically 2 pages describing how we somehow don't have clothes for Rowan, and yet we do for Adian. So Rowan must wear dead Sammy's old pants with no shirt because Sammy was 17 and Rowan is like 700 years old, and he does not fit into it. It's just like, I don't care how we got to this point, but yes, Sarah, you work that topless female into this story. Do it by any means necessary, even if he does need to wear her ex-dead lover's clothes.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care. Do it. So Rowan sees her dresses that she used to wear. He's just like rummaging through her closet. And one of them is this velvet black dress with gold embroidery. And he's like, whatever this is, just yes, 100 times yes. And she's like, I've never worn it because she's never felt like she's been enough to pull off that dress. And he says that he'd like to see her wear it one day. And I'm like, just you wait, my friend, just you
I'd like
wait.
to see you take it off of her one day.
Yeah,
Would be really good.
We all would. So she ends up telling him that she missed him. And he says, don't be silly, because he's just being that typical male of like, I'm going to gaslight your feelings away.
Yep.
Then he and Adian end up meeting after he's, bathed and smells like lavender and is shirtless. Rowan sniffs him. Sniffs.
Big old inhale.
He's just like, yep, delicious. And he's like, hang on, I know who your daddy is. It's my friend, the kitty cat, Gavriel.
Not Gabriel, the kitty cat.
Gavriel, the mountain lion.
How did you feel,
here.
Ellie, reading that for the first time after our whole bit where we were like, wow, isn't that interesting? And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, look, I kind of put it all together. And then I read it and I was like, yes, this confirms so much. So much. Especially because I was like, why is he treating her so differently? And it's like, because he thought that she was his daughter. Awkward.
Well,
And he's probably been like, oh, thank fuck for that.
yeah, that's too much trauma.
Yeah, oops. Anyway, so Aelin is like, this doesn't change anything, Adian. But he's like, I'm a bit shocked because my father is a cat. This is a lot.
It's a lot to absorb on a good day.
It's a lot. Aelin's essentially saying, if this comes out and people find out about it, I'm willing to go to war to protect him and whatever this would mean for him. But they end up choosing to just, keep it secret squirrel business. Does not leave beyond this room.
Secret squirrel business.
It is. It is, in fact. Well, then Rowan lets slip that he is blood sworn to Aelin. And, Adian's gone, hang on, you're only allowed one of those oath thingamajigs, and that was meant to be my blood.
Me.
So he flips his lid, and he's like, you know what? I'm mad. And Aelin's like, go be mad somewhere else. So he does.
Basically.
While Adian has stormed off into the sunset, Rowan is just casually marvelling at Aelin's beauty. And in his point of view, he's saying that his nightmares stopped when she was with him, but when she left, they started again.
Oh.
And we get this internal reflection where he's talking about how strong they are. And he says, save for the weakness they both shared, that bond between them. For in his nightmares, he sometimes heard Maeve's voice over the crack of a whip, cunning and cold. Not for all the world, Aelin, but what about for Prince Rowan? He tried not to think about it, the fact that Aelin would hand over the word keys for him. He locked that knowledge up so tightly that it could only escape in his dreams, or when he woke reaching across a cold bed for a princess who was thousands of miles away.
Oh my God, they're reaching out for each other in this.
But Rowan...
Crying, shitting, vomiting. Ah!
So much fluid. Rowan basically tells Aelin that Lorcan is on the continent and that's why he's here. He had tracked her here to see if she could lead him to the word keys, basically. Aelin asks Rowan to stay with her, in the bedroom, and Rowan's like, I cannot. I have self-control. And we're like, boo, hiss, no. And Rowan asks her about Kale. And Aelin tells him what Kale said about her being a monster. And Rowan's like, well, if you're a bird, I'm a bird. Fuck it up, baby.
Fuck it up, baby. And it's funny because he is actually a bird.
He is. He's a very good bird.
So she's basically like, just sleep in the fucking bed, mate. Like, it's fine. And he's still like, it's going to send the wrong message, blah, blah, blah. But he ends up being like, okay, fine, twist my arm, whatever. We end up getting this quote. Are you ready? She stalked toward her closet, her hips swishing as if to accentuate every word as she snapped, "Just get in bed." He loosed a tight breath as she and those hips vanished into the closet. Boundaries, lines, off limits. Those were his new favourite words, he reminded himself as he grimaced at the silken sheets, even as the huff of her breath still touched his cheek.
Oh, I love that when the person is like, no, boundaries, off limits, I'm fine. Yep, we can do this. And the other person's like, can you?
Yeah,
Can you
I'm going to
this?
push all of your limits. I love it. And he like basically calls it like, he's like, it's improper. And she's like, improper? I'll fucking give you improper, mate. And she ends up strutting out of her closet wearing the shortest pink nightgown she can find in her drawer. And Rowan like sits up in bed and he is like, what the fuck is that? he is not okay. He is like shook to the core. And he's like, are all of your sleeping attires like that? And she's like, yep, every single one of them. And she's like, is there a colour that you'd prefer me to wear? And he's silent for a hot minute. And then he's like, metallic gold. And she's like, no, sorry, don't have that colour. Bye. And then we get one of my favourite quotes. 30 minutes later, Rowan was still staring up at the ceiling, teeth gritted as he calmed the roaring in his veins.
Came into his head.
I thought it was going to say
God.
clammed. Clammed.
He can come in my clam.
Oh, shit. Fuck. So, teeth gritted as he calmed the roaring in his veins that was steadily shredding through his self-control. That goddamned nightgown. Shit. He was in such deep, unending shit. Screaming.
Oh my God. Aiden comes back the next morning and Aelin and Aiden make up. And Aelin is like, you can take the blood oath too. Like, new rules, mate. Fuck it up. And Aiden says maybe, but he'll only do it when she's crowned and he wants a big old ceremony for it. Then we have like this short and not so sweet chapter where we're back in Dorian's point of view and he's still fighting the demon Richard inside his head.
He's still battling that dick.
Yeah.
Richard.
Chapter 31, we're in Manon's point of view, and Manon is like, yo, bitch, why the fuck can't I see the yellow legs coven that you're impregnating? And she goes to like storm into the Duke's tent, only to find Caltaine using shadow fire on a mortal, which is basically incinerating them without leaving marks. And I don't know about you guys, but this unlocked a new nightmare for me because is this what Aelin could be if the Volk get her?
Oh, God. Terrifying.
Because, like, we find out in Caltaine's point of view that at once she had normal fire. That was her when there was magic. And it's obviously not alien levels, so fuck it up. That would have been horrifying.
Yeah, shit.
Jesus Christ.
Also would like some fan art of that, to be honest. I know it's trauma, but I feel like the fan art could be good.
Yeah, could
Yes. Manon then finds out that the High Witches are making a weapon for the Valg, something to destroy the humans, and she thinks that the little tiny peasant humans do not have a chance, which is not great for Kale. Because really, Kale and Dorian, well, no, Dorian's not human, so Kale's literally the only human in the book that we somewhat care about.
Yeah.
And even right now, I could really just cope with punching him.
Evangeline.
Oh, yes, as a child.
Yeah, there's
And
a
that.
child. Shocking that
True.
I'm pointing out the child.
Yeah, my goodness, what has happened to you?
My godness.
My goodness, oh my holy gods. So Alide is sleeping with a Braxos, not in that way. This is not a monster romance book.
It is not.
She's just snuggled on up next to him. And she came down to the Airy because she heard someone in her room. And Abraxos is like, that's fine, my love. Come nuzzle up against my leathery scaled skin and I'll just shelter you for the night. And she does. She falls asleep. And it's beautiful. He's just a kind little puppy dog and I'm obsessed with him.
Love him.
So when she wakes up, the 13 are there and they're talking about the king's shadow fire. And Elide tries to subtly make an escape, even though she has a fucked up ankle that has chains on it. And she's like, I can still...
She's doing a thing where she's like sliding across, but she's holding her ankle with the chain up off the ground.
Yeah. Doing like a bum
know.
shuffle. And all of the splinters in her nose, like, ow.
Oh.
It's just not what you want. Not what you want at all. So essentially she's doing this because she doesn't think that she should be hearing what Manon is saying. And Manon's looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? You freak. I can see you.
What are you doing?
You're
Sliding across
not
the
even
floor.
slightly casual. Like, I can just see you bum shuffling across the whole floor.
So Manon ends up being like, all right, you want to be useful as a part of our Blackbeak clan? Head on down to the dungeons to get more information about the Coven and the Shadowfire. Sorel and Astrid are like, are you fucking mad, bro? And she's like, this is the best option for all of us. Like, she can go down, get the info. And Elide's like, fuck yeah, send me down, bitch. I'm ready. Aye, Captain. So Elide is working with the lawn dressers to get into the chamber. So she follows a lady who does the laundry and is coming up with a plan when she hears her uncle trying to make a move on Caltaine. She basically interrupts and is like, the wing leader needs to speak with Caltaine. And Vernon is like, she's not authorized to do that. And Elide is like, and you are? And we're like, oh, shit.
Fuck yeah, Elide.
We're seeing that little feisty side come out of her, and I love that.
I love that for a little tiny woman.
Love that. And then when they get away from her uncle, she asks if she can take Caltaine somewhere safe, and Caltaine just looks at her, and there's like darkness and shadows in her eyes, but there's also like a slight hint of understanding, and she just walks away. So that's traumatic.
Yeah, Caltaine seems to be doing great.
Great. She's doing great. And when Elide gets back to her rooms, she asks Manon to get her some poison.
Back with our golden-haired cousin gang, Aiden and Aylin. They're chilling out.
You were about to say Aiden, Aylin, and Rowan.
You saw us stop, though. You saw us stop. No, we're not bringing that up. Okay, Aiden and Aylin and Rowan are sparring. And Aiden asks Rowan if he truly killed a man with a table, and Aylin is like, I'm sorry, surely not. You can't be serious. What, you squashed him to death like a pressed grape? And they're like, Rowan's like, well, actually, I impaled him with a table leg, so it's different. Rowan and Aiden keep sparring, even though Aylin is like, yo, Aiden, like, you almost just died, calm your farm. But Aiden is like, no, macho man must brawl. And Rowan obviously just beats him up, and we get this moment where Rowan hands Aiden's ass to him just to show that he can, and gets in real close and is like, if you ever speak to her again the way you did last night, I'll rip out your tongue and shove it down your throat. Understand?
Oh.
Yes, Daddy!
My God.
Oh, I love when this man threatens violence.
Makes me so wet.
It does. Gushing. All of the fluids. So much fluid.
Georgia is screaming, dying, shitting, vomiting, pissing,
throwing up.
And now wet,
She's
gushing.
Moist,
She's
gushing.
gushing.
Next minute, like, Lysandra comes to visit, and everyone's like, how the fuck do you just keep popping the fuck up? Because she just kind of like, hello, and they're like, ah! But then Lysandra's like, whoa, when she sees Rowan, and we're all like, whoa, when we see Rowan. Aylin, like, shovels her inside, and Aiden and Rowan keep having, like, this chit-chat. Rowan is basically like, me and you are Aylin's Karjay. We're going to protect and serve Aylin, each other, and Terrasin. And Aiden's like, well, that is actually, you know, exactly what I want to do. So I'm glad our goals are aligned, in fact. Lysandra and Aylin are chatting inside, and Lysandra gives Aylin some news about Arabin trekking castle wagons. Aylin asks how long Lysandra has until she's paid off her debt to Clarice, and Lysandra says that Clarice just keeps upping the money she owes her for Evangeline. Like, every time it's like, oh, well, she's even more beautiful now. She would have been worth more.
Oh,
and Aylin Yeah, that is just so fucking shit. And Aelin is like, well, like, I could kill her for you if you like. And Lysandra's like, oh, not yet, but, like, thanks. And Aelin's like, you let me know when, girl, and I've got you.
Let a hoe know, and I
Let
will
a
kill
hoe
your...
know.
Let
No
a
matter
hoe
who.
know.
Now we'll kill your employer. But yeah.
Well, now we're back with Kale, and he's looking at a map that Aelin had handed him, very confused. And Rowan is there, and again, he is being a little bitch. We have this quote. It was hard to avoid doing so when Rowan's presence somehow sucked out all of the air in the warehouse. He must be gay because he's just noticing everyone's attractiveness. All
And
of
everyone
men.
is sucking.
We know
something.
Kale is gay because he wants to suck Dorian. Or
Me
Richard,
too.
he's versatile.
He doesn't care who was inhabiting the body. He just needs it.
He
Well-
just needs it.
He needs it.
Needs it.
He needs it within his soul. Anyway. Then there was the matter of the delicately pointed ears peeking out from the short silver hair. Faye, he'd never seen one other than Aelin in those brief, petrifying moments. And Rowan, conveniently, in all her storytelling, Aelin had forgot to mention that the prince was so handsome.
Yeah, he is. Like, even Kale in his heterosexuality is like,
This is pretty cute, though.
He's pretty cute though, babe. And a handsome Fae prince whom she spent months living and training with, while Kale's own life fell apart, while people died because of her actions.
oh, fuck off.
Off! Oh
Yeah,
my god, this
absolutely
man.
fucked Kale.
He's not redeemable at this point for me. Just not at all. So, apparently Rowan is looking at Kale like he might be dinner, which, who wants stale lettuce for dinner? Jesus.
Not me, I'm not a vegetarian.
No. He is jealous as fuck and pissed off at Aelin, which is not new at this point. And it's just, I do not understand this man. He is deflecting like something else right now. He just cannot take any ownership for his own actions.
Absolutely
and
not.
It's doing my head in. So apparently he is going to ambush the wagons with the missing prisoners. And Aelin keeps extending these like olive branches to him, and he's just being a little fucker. And he's so stressed because Aelin says for him to tell Nez of the Rim, thank you for the clothes for Rowan. And he's just like, wait, you two are friends? Hang on. That was the vagina I fucked. Why are you friends with the vagina? And she's like, because she's more than a vagina, Kale. She's a person. She is Nez of the Rim.
She is. Aelin is then showing Rowan around Rifthold, and she takes him to the markets, and they're having a great time, but then he sees like a young woman selling flowers and instantly thinks of Lyria, aka Ellie. And Rowan says that he didn't deserve her, and Aelin says that she didn't deserve Sam. They share one truth for a truth.
Oh.
She then takes him to the theatre, and it's old and broken by now because remember the entire orchestra was murdered. But she tells him about how she used to come here and weep to the music. She tells him that this was what got her to start playing the pianoforte. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, can you show me what you mean? And then we have this gorgeous scene where she plays for him and he is so shook. He's basically in tears and he like asks her, like, show me again. And so they stay there for ages just playing until they hear someone coming and they slip out. It's just such a gorgeous scene.
Beautiful.
We then get these little snippets as well where like they go to the bank and Rowan is being like, what are we going to do for money? You're using your own. And she's like, don't get your feathers ruffled. I've got it sorted. And we've had a couple other bits where like earlier in the book, she just stops by the bank and things like that. But, you know, will anything happen there?
Unsure. So we jump to the next chapter and it's a quick one, you know. So Kale and Nesrin are fighting the vaginas, the valgs, the vages without the silent L's. They're like stopping the prisoners from being moved to Morath because there's a bunch of like the traitors or whatever you would call them, the rebels being moved to Morath, and they're stopping it from happening. Aelin sneaks out of bed with Rowan to capture one of the vages for Arabin, as per their discussion, as per previous correspondence. Aelin feels someone following her, so she sets a trap. She pretends to be meeting with someone and...
Like, she figures out that Lorcan's the one following her. So
That's
she
right.
does this whole thing where she's in the tunnels and she's like, oh my God, Aelin, what are you doing there? Oh, shut up, like,
yeah. It literally has like a full-on conversation.
with herself. Pretend to be two
with
people.
herself. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So she ends up being able to lead Lorcan right into a vag demon trap.
Right into the
nest
crotch.
thing. Right
into
smack bang
it.
into the crotch. Lorcan finds her and pins her to the wall, and she's got a blade to his penis, so that's good. And he's got her pressed to the wall, ready to snap her neck. He ends up releasing her. He's not happy with her. And then Rowan arrives, and the next minute he's got a knife to Lorcan's throat. It's a whole ordeal. Lorcan says that Rowan is stupid for swearing himself to a mortal queen, and Rowan is basically like, suck my ass. But not really.
Yeah, Rowan does not need Lorcan up in his crevices like that.
No.
I must say, Lorcan does have a point. I am now concerned for the fact that these two are mates and that she's only going to live for not that much longer in comparison to his life, and I'm scared.
What? They're not mates yet. They're
Anyway.
soulmates.
They're definitely
They're soulmates.
soulmate.
So Lorcan is one day you'll trip up Aelin, and that day I'll be there. And then Aelin does like the slow turnaround and like looks at him and says, I will never forget, not for one moment, what you did to him that day in Doranel. Your miserable existence is at the bottom of my priority list. But one day, Lorcan, one day, I'll come to claim that debt too. Consider tonight a warning.
I
Oh my
love it when they
God.
threaten violence to protect the other.
No, I love it. But, yes, when Rowan and Aelin get back to the warehouse, Rowan is like, do not fucking do that again. And she's like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And then the next minute, he is like, comes right up to her and they're standing so close that she has to like look up at him. And I'm on the edge of my fucking seat squealing like a fucking monkey. But nothing happens.
Wow, the monkey, that's a new animal for us.
That is.
Yeah, well, that was what... Yeah.
No. Well, that is where we're going to leave part one of the episode because we've been talking so much shit that it's somehow ridiculous. God help us with the rest of the series because it just gets bigger from here.
I
We
know.
might have to do 3
I'm
parts.
scared.
But next week we'll be back for chapters 37 onwards of Queen of Shadows. We'll give you our fan art and our music suggestions. And yeah, can't wait.
Can't wait.
In the meantime, just find us on social media at A Book and a Bev. We're on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and you can see our beautiful faces there. But we will see you all next week, our lovelies. Stay safe. Read books. We love you.
Stay safe. Men are fucked out there.
They
Yeah,
are.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.